All right, welcome to the 114th episode of the SAWDUST Nation podcast with your hosts, with the most, myself, Nick from NPG Creations, and Josh from North Country Woodworking. Nap is running late this evening. He's actually still at his primary job. But we do have, in his stead, a very, very well-known woodworker on the Instagram, Ed Mancini.
Welcome, man. Thanks for joining us tonight. I know it was kind of a last-minute thing for our Patrons and whatnot. We're actually doing this recording because I'm taking a week off and being in the middle of the woods, spending some time where we actually get the wood. But well, let's jump on and see what's going on in your shop, man. What's new? What you've been working on? I know you took up a challenge. I'd like to hear more about that too.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a surprise, came out of nowhere, and I was so happy. I was like, wow, we did the podcast that I'm talking about. So I'm Ed Mancini from Mancini Woodworking, and so I'm out of Louisville, Kentucky, and what I have going on in my shop right now is I started a 30-day Instagram live challenge. So initially, this challenge was supposed to be between myself and a woman named Macy from Sweet Pine Designs on Instagram. So I am a co-host on an Instagram live show called SAWDUST Talk with Kyle Brewer. And she came on as one of a new addition co-host to the show. And when she came on, she had kind of reached out to me, letting me know that she kind of a little nervous and she doesn't know how to really act in front of the camera, what to say, what to do. So, and she didn't really have a lot of experience with talking to people on lives at all in general. So I kind of said, hey, it's an opportunity. Like, let's do this 30-day challenge together. I had already had it in my mind to do it myself as it is, but I thought I'd kind of bring her in with it. And so I'm on day 13 right now. And I just kind of use it as an opportunity to get to know people I haven't talked to in the maker community. And so far it's working. Like, I love it. I'm getting to know new people, see new faces. People are coming on new every day, asking new questions. And I'm telling you, the lives are getting longer and longer. So usually average around 4 hours a night. I start about 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't think we've ended one, I don't think before midnight at all. And I think the latest we went was like 3 a.m. almost. So
how do you get any woodwork done?
Yeah, so that's what I tell people. Like, I have a shop, and that's basically my prop. My shop is my prop. So I look like I'm doing something, but I'm doing Instagram lives the whole time. So
as you're doing a live, you hold up a stick and you're just sanding.
That's exactly right.
I did some woodworking today.
Paper next to you.
Yes, it's like wearing a hard hat and having a clipboard. It's just similar.
Clipboard.
Yeah, just like that. It's like working on construction. Instead of woodworking, you just need sandpaper and a piece of wood. No one will talk to you.
That's it. So I've had that going on. That's covering most of my evenings. And then what I kind of have on my bench right now is I have this box. It's a star box, essentially. I have a friend reach out to me. He got this tree topper from a maker in Germany that's shaven, and it's very delicate. And he got it in a cardboard box, and his kids gave it to him for a Christmas present, and he wants to make it a family heirloom, and he can't keep it in a cardboard box. So he reached out to me, said, hey, can you make me a box for the star to make sure it doesn't get destroyed, and I could pass it down to my grandkids. So that's what I'm working on right now with my CNC. Kind of carved that out and setting that up for him on top of a couple dog bowl holders. For me personally, for my dogs, mine are kind of outdated. The ones I have now are from when I started. So they're a little rustic, if you would say.
They got features.
Yeah, they have a lot of features. Yeah. And then some Etsy orders. I had a couple zero clearance inserts that I had to make for orders on Etsy, and that's what I've got going on. What about you, Josh?
Well, I've just finished a couple of projects. I'm doing these huge 2-foot hammers for a Army squadron here on base, the 174th. And it was funny because I had 2 orders from 2 different individuals. One was a commander, one was someone else in a different part of the squadron. And I had them meet in the same parking lot. So, like, I pull up between them, and they both step out and hand the hammers. And they're like, hey, I didn't know you were getting this. And they're like, yeah. And it was great because you could see the interaction between them. And, they're sharing their hammers. And, it's a dual handoff for a project at the same time. So I couldn't beat it. It's definitely something I would try to set up again, unknowing to my clients, unfortunately. But it worked out well, and they were extremely happy. I actually had one of the hammers for the last 2 months sitting in the shop. But it is what it is. People get busy and sometimes things sit, but that's why we get paid first, or at least I try to get paid first. I actually had another project that I was going to finish here tonight after the podcast and editing, and I went out to go ahead and CNC it, and it potato chipped so bad that I might as well made it a boat.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was probably the worst I've ever seen, at least in my shop. And I literally reached out to the client. I'm like, look, I was trying to get this done for you so I can deliver early tomorrow morning. And unfortunately, I need to do entirely new glue up, start from scratch. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the wood.
What was it? What kind of wood was it?
It was poplar. It was for the noodle board.
Oh, was it thin?
3/4 of an inch. I mean, like, it's not like it's a quarter or anything crazy.
Okay.
Did you have it on stickers or did you just slap it on the table?
Well, I was doing the glue up, so I had it in the clamps, and I had, what I do is I clamp it up, and I clamp the actual where they butt up against each other to make sure that they hold steady. And then I took it out last night after I got done editing the podcast, and I had to finish up the other hammer anyway, pour some epoxy, and I took it out. It was completely dry, and I left it by my toolboxes standing up. And this morning I went in, I grabbed the mallets, I did everything in there, and I didn't even look at it because, it's a glue up that I need to, trim down, sand, get ready anyway. And I came back in the shop after work, and I grab it and I look at it, and it's just like, whoop.
Is it humid there or what?
Yeah, of course it's always humid here. The shop.
Oh, so did you alternate grain?
Yes.
Direction.
Smiley face, frown face. I even write it on there so I don't get confused.
Okay, I have a fix for you. You need to use 8/4 next time.
That you're right. It would work. I don't think they would ever want to move it off their burners, but you're not wrong. It's one of those things where, we fight wood movement. That is our enemy in the shop. We do everything we can, but there are times there's nothing you can do about it. And I don't know if it was more humid than normal or how it happened. I just, literally it happened. So, I might make a boat with it, bring it to our camp and try it out. Who knows? But,
a giant dip tray.
Yes. Charcuterie tray. See if I can sell that.
There you go.
But yeah, it was, my wife's texting me. She's watching the live. She's actually in the shop right now. She's, so we're leaving tomorrow and we're trying to knock all this stuff out. So that project, I reached out to the client. I told him what happened. I'm like, look, this is very unfortunate. I'm gonna have to start from scratch. And I'm also going for a few days away. So when I get back, it's the first thing out of the shop. So I'm going to knock that out I actually was going to try to glue up tonight. That way, when I get back, I could just work off of that. But I am one board short from being able to do that. So I was going to actually run to Lowe's and try to get the board and some other stuff I need real quick. So when I got back, I can dive right into it. And, well, we basically, when you go on a trip, you're always trying to get things done. My wife has 5 orders she's trying to knock out. She's actually in the shop using the laser right now, doing that. And then once that's complete, I'm actually going to edit the podcast tonight. And then, we're going to tidy up the house so we come back to a nice clean house. Not to worry about that. We got to pack. And now my son does listen to this podcast. Keep this in mind. My son just lost his first tooth. So with all this going on, he loses his tooth.
The tooth fairy's going to visit tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But the tooth fairy is going to be exhausted after the night.
Yeah, I can imagine they will be. But he lost it, his first tooth. He got out of the shower, he was in his room, and he runs in and is like bleeding down his face. And I'm like, what happened?
Oh, no.
And he goes, I lost my tooth, but I don't know where. So I'm sitting there I'm doing a FOD walk basically on our floors to see if I can go ahead and get this tooth. And I finally find it, and it's like, Lord of the Rings, you hold up the one ring. And he's so excited about it. It's been loose for a while, but we were just waiting on it to fall out. But, so I mean, shop stuff. I have a lot of stuff I want to do in there. I have obviously that one job I didn't get completed. The goal was to be job free on leave, essentially. But it never quite works that way. So that's what I got going. Little family stuff in there. Obviously preparing for the trip. That's why we're recording tonight and getting this knocked out so that when I go dark, we still have a podcast that airs. And that kind of brings me to Nick, because Nick actually joined the podcast for the first time and not a very similar fashion. I think he was one of the first guests that we brought onto the podcast when AJ and I first started. And he actually came on to do an episode that would air because my wife was pregnant at the time when she went into labor and I couldn't record. But things ended up being...
Do you still have that episode?
I do, maybe. Yeah, it should be on our drive, I think.
Dude, you need to post that as the lost episode.
We do, but it's a very awkward episode for me because you guys are talking all CNC stuff and I didn't have one yet. And I'm just like that lost boy, damn.
It's okay though, because I'm sure our people would love to hear something.
If I could find it, I'll definitely pull it up and we can do it as a special episode. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I mean, and then eventually he came on again because we owed him an episode, and then he just never left. So with that, Nick, what's going on in your shop?
Well, my shop is kind of in disarray. I still got active orders going on. Meanwhile, when CNCs are running, lasers running, glue ups are, drying, ready to go, I'm trying to assemble my Avid CNC because I don't know if I brought this up on Tuesday. Did I? It arrived. It arrived on Tuesday. Last Tuesday. So we're recording early, so I'm confused. But anyway, I've been trying to get out in the garage. Last night I could not. I was smoked. I was so exhausted. I got home, I laid down, and I never got back up. I maybe checked Instagram once, thought about going in the garage, and I was like, meh, nope, not happening tonight. So, but yeah, that's going on. I've got boxes everywhere. Avid sure does know how to pack their stuff. I have to give them props because their shipping department does a bang-up job on getting all of the packaging material, the foam and protection in there and making it so there's no damage to those parts when they arrive. That's one thing I do have to say. Another thing I do have to say is if you don't have a razor knife, it is almost impossible to open those boxes. But yeah, so I was just basically inventorying the boxes, getting them ready to go. I cleared away a space in my garage or in my shop, excuse me. Sorry, Odies. Anyway, cleared away a spot for the CNC. And that's really all that's been happening so far. Still, here's what I really want to talk about. Did you ever accept money for a job before for like woodwork, Ed?
Yeah. I usually take like a 50% deposit. Okay.
So when you have multiple customers who owe you deposits, or at least because a lot of times when it's stuff that I can't make, if it's like personalized or whatever, I usually accept 100% up front. Yeah. It's like a plaque. Mm-hmm. The last thing I need is somebody else's plaque hanging on my wall again.
Right.
I have a large variety of other people's stuff on my walls. Let's put it that way. Well, I'm waiting on like 6 people to pony up and just because they placed the order already. I told them I wouldn't start. And then I really try to work with people and be like, hey, look, I realize you're coming to me 3 days in advance when this thing needs to be delivered. If it's just a laser job, it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Pop it in, pop it out, sand it, finish it, put a sawtooth hanger on it, and send it out. Right, not a problem. But other things are kind of stacking up. But that's another thing. I'm busy to the point where my mind is never quiet. When I'm thinking about designs, I'll jump from one design, especially when I'm on the computer. I'll jump from one design on Lightburn and I'll jump into my CNC software and I'll start editing a different one. And before I know it, I was like, oh, snap, I was supposed to be back on this one. So I'm like rotating 3 jobs at once, or juggling. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Sorry, I just had word diarrhea, vomited out of my mouth.
For a sec there, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that combo.
No, but I want to give a public service announcement, and I feel it's valid at this point. Yeah, so if you're a maker in the community, or even if you're not, and you want to donate to a worthy cause, whether it be to the Wounded Warrior Project, which I don't know if that's really a worthy cause anymore either, because I heard there was some funny stuff going on.
It's changed a lot.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. But the Cass Moses Foundation, whatever, let's just say valid, reputable, nonprofit organizations that benefit people, like people with disabilities or people that have, hey, what's up, Nap? People that have some issue where they need assistance. Great. I appreciate that. I think everybody in society can get behind you and say, good on you for doing that. And it's a very noble thing to do. But if you are a organization claiming to be a nonprofit and you don't even have your nonprofit status, it's at that point it's fraud when you start telling people that you're nonprofit. I don't know if you guys knew that or not.
Well, the thing is like anything, Nick, you hit right on the money here. With any business, like LLC, a corporation, whatever, you can ask, you can look them up. Like it's not a secret. So like, even if you want to donate to some organization that's a nonprofit, look them up. Verify they are the status they are. Don't just take our word for it. Like, get on the computer. It's very easy to look it up. You can tell if they pay their taxes on time. You can find a lot about a business. It's not a close hold secret anywhere. So, regardless of your opinions on A, B, or C, do the work. Do the research, make sure your money's going to a good place, because you know what? I am proud of the community, very proud that we are so willing to donate to other makers and get people set up for success. I really hope that we're doing our research, because sometimes when you don't, you get burned. And, unfortunately, I think us sitting here, as far as like the SAWDUST Nation podcast hosts, have been burned in the past because of it. I'm not going to speak for Ed here. It's the basis of it. Do your research. If you want to donate, that's great. Just make sure you know what you're donating to. So
exactly. Also, if somebody tells you, hey, I need you to send me money, but I can't tell you what it's for, who it's going to, that's probably going to raise a few red flags. But let's move on from this topic, because it's a hot one right now.
Unfortunately.
So anyway, Nap's here. Nap, this is Ed, by the way. We call Ed New Nap. No, I'm playing. We don't. So
our special guest, Nap from Nap's Naughty Works, has joined us.
Yeah. Well, part of it's work. Part of it was, and I'm just going to be frank, I was playing flag football. Dude, I hurt so bad. I'm not young anymore. Jesus.
Was that part of the mandatory fun?
My mandatory fun ended at 7 in the evening. And then the game, so I was going to make it on time until they started late, I guess. So I was like, okay. And I'd asked if we could record tomorrow, just because I was like, well, maybe we can do that and I can do this and I have to worry about getting home like super fast. And then I never got a response. And then I got it after the game because I wasn't paying attention to my phone. And well, here I am. So,
well, we're glad to have you, Nap. So what's going on in your shop now? We're this is the segment where we talk about what's going on in each other's shops. So you have anything going on in your shop recently since Tuesday?
Yes.
I stepped in my shop and turned the light on.
Yeah, pretty much what happened. So like I said a couple days ago, I know we're recording early, and I'm sure the patrons and everyone will understand that. But I haven't been able to touch the shop. I've come home at 7:30 every day. I mean, today a little later, obviously, because of the football thing. But I've been coming home late, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to do anything. This was something I was kind of scared of when I moved here and came back to, I call it the real Air Force. It's coming true a little bit, because you never know when the boss is going to put you on 12s, and how smoked you're going to be when you come home from work. Because although I'm physically destroyed from football, because like I said, I'm not that young anymore, I come home mentally tired most times. So I'm on both fronts right now, and I don't want to go in the shop. I love doing the stuff out there, but I'm telling you what, I don't want to go out there.
It's being safe for you too, man.
And I won't. However, yeah. I mean,
actually,
safe, right?
in this episode, I just want to make this a reminder. I do want to go over safety with Ed, and I do have an incident I happened today. I want to share later on. Sorry, Nap. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page for later.
No, you're good.
Safety.
Oh yeah.
I did a stupid thing. I'll tell you about it later.
I see 5 fingers, so
close.
Yeah, 5 fingers there. So let's see. Earlier on, I talked about a reel that I had. I wanted to make 50K. We hit it.
Nice.
For a small account, 50K views. I'm pleasantly surprised and pretty happy. I don't know exactly what I did. I guess I just won the Instagram lottery. I'll take it.
Were you wearing a low-cut shirt?
I was. In fact, I actually tied it up a little bit, showed a little midriff, it was good.
Oh, belly button.
The Air Force ball glass job that I had someone tell me today, Nap, just find the different image and just do it. Don't wait at this point. So I'm going to do it. Not going to wait. And I was told, don't spend money on extra glasses. We're just going to hide those at other tables where the people that noticed what they noticed.
Yeah, put them at the airman tables.
On those glasses initially. That's literally what we're going to do.
They won't care.
Fill
them with booze and then we bother.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, everyone's going to be drinking at this thing anyways. No one's going to be like, oh my God, look at that thing on there. I'm like, no.
Has anyone here gone to a ball and ever walked out sober?
Okay, I've never gone to any military function and walked out
I don't
sober.
drink, so that's me.
The Heritage Board job, I'm joining boards tomorrow after work. So that's the beautiful thing about Fridays. It doesn't matter what time I get home. I'll go out there and do what I need to do to get started. That way my Saturday is a little more productive. That way I'm not waiting for stuff to dry. The heater is officially getting the final touches for the install this weekend. We'll kick it on, make sure she works, make sure I don't blow my shop up, and be good there. And then I have gotten another order for a shadow box. It is from my old job for someone that's retiring, close friend. So that'll be pretty cool. I get to make his shadow box for his retirement. And other than that, I mean, nothing really else going in the shop. I mean, I've been kind of trying to stay a little low-key as far as jobs are concerned, especially with these unpredictable 12-hour shifts, because I really don't want to have 10 jobs on the docket in a week and not be able to complete them. So I'm just taking those jobs as I go. And because I sold my CNC, I really don't have to worry about jobs right now. I can just kind of enjoy my one or two here and there until everything is a little quieter during the winter, because I have 4 huge inspections coming up here and I got to kind of focus on that. So that's all that's going on in my shop. What's going on in life. I feel like stuff for the PG version. But yeah, that's why I have bourbon.
Well, before we get into the Q&A with Ed, let's ask Josh. I'm dying to know for Josh. What'd you do, bro? What happened?
Yeah, the safety incident.
Okay, I'm embarrassed to actually admit to
you
what
shouldn't
happened
be.
Because
we all do dumb stuff. I've myself before. It's fine.
Anyone that has it will. It's that one part you just can't trust. So I was in the shop. I was cutting 1/4-inch plywood for the wife and her projects. And, I'm going through them pretty fast. And I did something I normally don't do. Recently I used the dado stack and I removed certain things from my table saw. And I didn't put that certain thing back. So, I was thinking 1/4-inch plywood, that's not going to be an issue, right? And I went through and the last piece decided to go ahead and clamp on itself. It took the piece of plywood, cut an S into the plywood, and then it popped up off the table saw blade rode on the bottom of it, spun it around, and flew it back into, well, my stomach. And I caught it at that point in time. I shut off the table saw, and I spent probably an hour to 2 hours just thinking about my life and how I should be smarter. I don't even know how it happened the way it happened.
It's pretty uncommon for plywood to bind like that.
So you didn't put a writhing knife back in there, or what?
No, I left it out because what happened is I couldn't find it.
Oh, well, that checks. That checks.
I took it out and I literally looked for it and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to cut it. It's plywood. I mean, it's 1/4 inch. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Well, apparently
Famous
a lot.
Last words.
Yeah. I was like it riding on the blade. That's a new thing. I've never seen that one. Because on the bottom, you can see where the blade kind of like skipped and then it cutting like an S like that on a piece. And like, yeah, it took me a while to recover from that. I didn't turn the table saw on, I don't think, after. In fact, I took it apart looking for the riving knife, thinking it maybe fell in, or I went around looking for it because I'm like, I'm not touching the table saw until I have that again. But I went on Amazon and when I couldn't find it, and bought a new one. And now I'll have two. I'll just have one in the shop somewhere.
She'll find it as soon as the other one gets there.
So I was like, A, I was embarrassed. B, I was like, I can't believe I still have all my fingers because of what that plywood just did. I did back away. When it started happening, I had pressure on it, and then like the blade took it, and I just kind of backed away from it. That's, I think, why I got my fingers still. And then when it shot back, I was able to catch it enough. I didn't get a full blast, but I did end up checking and make sure everything was still okay.
Check your pants.
But
it's scary, bro.
Yeah, not a very proud moment. So use the safety equipment provided with your table saw. Do not think that you can get away with a couple cuts because that couple cuts may hurt you or do damage to your piece or what have you. And yeah. It can happen to anyone at any point in time. So I am lucky that I have all my 9 fingers today. I mean, 10 fingers today.
Yeah, it's happened to me 3 times already.
You only have 10 lessons. And I don't want to use any of them. So yeah, be safe out there.
Ed, you ever almost die in your shop?
No, I don't think so. It's funny that you mentioned that though, because I recently had a go with my router on my router table, and I was talking about the dog bowl stand. So I had made two tops. So I put the tops on my CNC, had it cut out, the holes for the bowls and all that stuff. And then I brought it over to my router table to go ahead and do round over on the edges of the board. And for whatever reason, I felt the need to, it's like a 3/4 inch round over bit that I have. And I don't know why I felt like taking the whole thing in one pass. And I was doing basically where the bowls sit in, and that bit just took a huge chunk right out of the center of it and almost split it in half, but it threw the board back at me. And I sat there. I tried to find the piece that it chunked off, but I couldn't find it. It threw it across my shop. And I turned the table off, and then I sat there and like probably 30 minutes, like thinking about what I should have done. In hindsight, like I should have taken this small bites at a time. And man, I never had, the router kick something back at me before. And that crap was scary as hell.
Sure can be, man. I've had that happen before. When I was I'm not putting you down at all here when I say this, but I was brand new, and I had a like a rabbiting bit. And I thought, I just set it to the depth that I need it, and it was a dado bit. I don't remember. It was like it's a rabbiting bit. Sorry.
Take the whole thing at once.
Just set it to the full depth, and then just tried to push it on through, and then that thing shot across the yard. I was like, I'm glad nobody was standing there. That could have been bad. I got you, man.
Yeah.
But I've done some dumb shit before though, like really dumb stuff. You ever have a fire in your shop?
I've never had a fire in my shop, and I do have a fire extinguisher. But no, like I've never had a fire in there. I have like a little laser, like I have a 1Infinity CNC. So I have the little JTech 7 watt Pro. And I use that thing, and like whenever I kick that thing on, I do not go anywhere because I'm so paranoid I'm going to burn the shop down.
I wouldn't worry about the JTech too much. You could potentially burn stuff.
I mean, if I sit there long enough in one spot, I could.
Yeah. So say your CNC gantry shuts off and it just keeps lazing in the same spot, right? That could potentially happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80% power.
Well, yeah. So I had my CO2 laser ignite a piece of acrylic, and it happened within seconds of me starting the job. So my CNC was going on in the corner. I needed to do a bit change. So I set the job up on the laser, shut the door, let it go, hit start, walked away, did the bit change or started doing a bit change, and I started smelling plastic burning. And I look over and my bed of my laser's on fire. So I was like, oh, ran over there. And I'm so glad. I must have had so much adrenaline flowing that I blew that fire out with my lungs. Yeah,
Well, I heard you're pretty good at it, so.
Yeah,
really good at blowing
the fuck out of that thing.
That's hilarious. Because it's a debate there. Like, so you have a fire extinguisher. Is it an electronics fire extinguisher? Yeah, so like they have
a C-type.
No.
Right. So if you
There's
don't
different
have
categories.
an electronic-specific fire extinguisher, which are really expensive, by the way, like you're talking a regular home size fire extinguisher, you're talking like $300 for one fire extinguisher. But it won't damage the electronics if you use it. So if you have a regular fire extinguisher that's like good for your kitchen or whatever the case is, once you use that thing, your electronics are toast. So then you have to debate, like, is this fire bad enough for me to toast this thing? Or do I need to go get like my leaf blower and be like, oh.
Well, so I think I would have been okay because it was on the bed and it wasn't over anything. I mean, so the fire was burning the gantry. It didn't get hot enough to like cause any structural damage or anything like that, but it did eat through my air assist. It ate through, because that's plastic tubing.
Yeah.
What else? And it pretty much destroyed the wiring to the probe, the probe that pushes down and then comes back up to get your focal point.
Yeah.
Do you use that at all?
So
anyway?
I've been off. I did use I did. I set it to the way I wanted it, and I used it. But now I got to get new wiring for it. And then I just got some hose and put it on there for the air assist.
You can never have enough hose. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I'm like kind of how we all picked that up.
Just went with it.
Yeah.
So, Nick, do you have cameras in your shop yet?
I do. I have cameras. Why? I was in the shop when it happened. It's not like I needed a camera.
No. I was curious because if you got that recorded, I definitely want to see that entire thing play out.
The cameras don't record. The cameras are just there for me to monitor.
Yeah.
Oh, you cheap. You need to get the plan.
Dang.
I know. I need to get the ones that, what's his name has, Voltner has.
Well, the Waze cameras, which you turned me on, if that's what you're still using, you can actually, it's like $1 a month or something low cost like that, and it records.
No, it'll record for you without the thing. Like it'll do a certain segment, but mine records.
Yeah, but I'm saying without you actually being on the app. I haven't dived into it enough, but you should. That would have been gold, man. That entire video, especially your face and like the panic moment. I must have jumped like 3 feet in the air and looked like Bugs Bunny, freaking out. And then the whole thing, and then my boss calls me while I'm like dealing with the damage, right? So he's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "I'm just dealing with a shop fire real quick. Can I call you back?" You know, like how high were those flames? I have to know real quick. We'll move on after this, but like
they were just above the gantry.
Okay.
But it was like the entire sheet of like 2 foot by 2 foot piece of acrylic. Because so what had happened was the paper on top of the acrylic caught on fire, and it started cooking the acrylic underneath it, and then cooking everything on top. So
that's crazy.
I survived.
That's fire right there.
I know. So I did something to mitigate that. Is I sped up my feeds. So I know, right? I used to run pretty slow and high power. Now I run high powered and faster.
Could have been worse.
Anywho, it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been worse. he might not have a freaking laser or
right.
even a garage at this point, you know?
Well, I mean, insurance would have helped out.
Yeah, but you would have been down and out. Like, that would have been...
I would have just had to call my customers and tell them that there was going to be a longer delay.
Hey, guys, I set my my garage on fire, so, yeah, it's going to be a minute.
It's probably going to be about 6 to 8 months before you see anything.
Yeah. Take it that long. Just when you order something, it's going to take that long to come in by the time you get paid by the insurance.
That is true. That is
right.
true.
So I've done some dumb stuff in my shop as well. I guess I can add to this segment a little bit. I want to say three quick stories. So the first one was when I first started out as a garage shop owner in Texas. So I used to live like 20 minutes from Nick, and now I'm all the way in North Dakota. But before I ever got my saw stop, I had a DeWalt job site saw. It was, pretty good for a job site saw. So, I mean, I used it a little aggressively. This is where I learned a riving knife is extremely important when dealing with wood that likes to twist when you're cutting it. And so what had happened was, as Nick would say, I was pushing a piece of 8/4 through this thing. Now, mind you, job site saws, DeWalt makes some good job site saws, but I don't think it was meant for 8/4 that pinches in on itself. Because, some wood when it's twisted or if it's just doing this number, it'll bind the blade. Well, I tried to force it, and, we'll just say the table saw threw that thing, and it hit my garage.
I'm surprised your breaker didn't go off, too, when you were trying to push it through there.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have it on its own 20 amps. But, yeah, so this thing was like, it was just like, no. I'm like, oh, come on, let's go.
If I go faster,
the maintainer in me is like, you're going to make it. Yeah, right? And as soon as I pushed, it just said, nope, and it stopped, and I stand off to the side of my table saw blade because I'm
me too.
Paranoid. This thing hit my garage door, and I'm going to tell you what, there was a dent in that garage door. So that's the first one. So I learned riving knives are extremely important. The second one was on the next table saw. That would be the saw stop. I pulled the nick. We talked about this freaking, 20, 30 episodes ago now. But when you go from a 90-degree crosscut to a 45-degree or vice versa, you should make sure that your the metal piece that is the backer or whatever is far enough to the right. So I was at 90, or I was at 45 and went to 90, and I was going to do a real quick cross cut. Didn't even think about it. Didn't move it over to the right side of the blade. And I was just like, boom. And I was like, where'd my saw blade go?
You have aluminum fence too, right?
Yeah, it was an anchor jig. So that thing, it hit it, and I tell you what, it saved the anchor jig. But that was like a $200 mistake. So I learned really fast that, hey, dummy, make sure you check your fence. So that same saw blade is still attached to the brake right now, hanging in this current garage. I will keep that as a friendly reminder to always change it.
I had the same thing happen to me too, except I don't have a saw stop, so I cut all the way through my Rockler one.
What?
Oh, that hurt. that hurt a little. And then CNC safety. So when you're using Vectric or honestly any CNC software, okay, make sure when you're doing your settings that you make sure that it's measuring from the top of the material, and that your depth of cut on a bit that you haven't used ever is not 1 inch. So I went ahead and ran this thing. Didn't even think about it. Didn't think twice. Think 1/4 inch bit. It's probably got like a 16th, whatever. I'm thinking this is when I was new to the game. And I started the job, and this thing, and I walked away. So like I pushed start. I'm thinking it's gonna be good. I walk away. All I heard was, and I heard this thing freaking binding. My freaking Shapoka was just like losing its mind. And I watched this thing from afar, this little freaking 6x6 square, do a freaking circle out of the holds and fly. And I was like, oh my God. So I didn't destroy the Shapoka, which is surprising. But that piece of wood went flying. So if you use a CNC and you listen to this podcast, make sure you check your depth of cut with your bits, because if you don't, you can be like me, and you can do that. Ever since then, though, I double check, triple check, quadruple check, because I'm super paranoid when it comes to my depths of cut.
I wonder why,
especially doing 3D jobs and any of those things.
Well, that's lessons learned, right? I mean, like, we do this podcast, we share our stupid mistakes. And because of that, our hope is that someone out there listens, they take it to heart. But we've all heard stories like this from other people. And unfortunately, we've done it too. You get a little bit complacent in the shop because my example, I mean, like, come on, 1/4-inch piece of plywood. It's like paper. I could break that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's nothing. Freaking attack me, man. I feel assaulted.
Wax on, wax off to a
Yeah.
whole new level.
Yeah.
You need to, break the board.
So, man, what got you into woodworking? What was the spark that, lit that fire to get you to where you are now?
Okay, so I have a little bit of a history with woodworking, carpentry. I would say more carpentry. So I'm originally from Connecticut, and I went to a vocational high school where I took up carpentry as a trade. So I spent my 4 years of high school learning carpentry, and the first like 2 years of high school was less carpentry, a little bit more woodworking and cabinetry. And they tried to put emphasis on hand tools and safety and stuff like that. So like freshman year, we were not even allowed to use any like power tools at all, really. We had to do everything by hand. And I had to make like a tool chest. That was like one of our freshman project was like make your own tool chest with hand cut dovetails and all that stuff. I still have it up in my attic right now. It's been, I did that in 1997, I think, and it's still up there kicking, it's lasted. There's a lot of wood filler in those joints. I'll tell you that much. Cause like
it's a feature.
Like a 14, 15-year-old kid don't give a crap about like how clean his dovetails are. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I learned a little bit there. We did a little bit of cabinetry. And then, junior and senior year was all about building houses, where we built, I think, 3 houses total by the time I graduated from the ground up. And I had a lot of fun doing it, but it tied more with hanging out with my friends in high school. So when I graduated from high school and I went out to the job force, I just realized how serious people were and how not fun it was. And everything was time is money and there was no goofing around. And, I had already known that I was going to join the military at that point. So this was just something temporary for me, So I joined the Army in 2002. I just recently retired, 20 years in the Army, but
Congrats,
almost, thank you. I appreciate it. Almost my whole career, I didn't do any woodworking. Like that got left behind when I joined. I want to say it was, I did a deployment to Afghanistan in 2011. And that's probably the first time in my career that any kind of wood anything just kind of popped its head out. I saw an opportunity. We were living in Tent City in the mud because we were in the Arghandab Valley where it was a lot of water and stuff. And I got tired of dragging nasty mud and madness into my crappy shack of a house that we had, right? And so we had a lot of wood up on our hill, and because we had our fob on the side of a mountain. So I just started dragging all the wood down from the hill, and I created this boardwalk so people can walk without getting all muddy and stuff. And then I did the boardwalk, which was about a 1/4 mile. I did all this by myself, just, when I come back from missions and in between missions, when I didn't have anything to do, I just sit down with a nail and hammer and just go to town. And then I built this deck that we had on there where, everyone was able to play cards. We played basketball on there. Actually, we had pull-up bars that I built and all kinds of stuff, So that was like my first time in the Army where kind of woodworking or carpentry came back into play. And then it went silent again for a hot minute until I came back from a rotation through Europe in 2019. And my buddy, that's my neighbor that I worked with, he's like, hey, I need to build a 50-foot second floor deck at my house. And he's like, I've never built a deck before. Do you want to help me? And I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. So it was just the two of us. Took us about 2 weeks. We built the whole deck, and I was like, man, I really like doing this. And this is starting to get fun again. And then he's like, I need to build a farmhouse or a kitchen table for my wife. He's like, do you want to help me? And I was like, yeah, I'll help you do that. So I helped him with that. And from that point forward, I was like, man, like I'm buying some tools because I didn't have any tools at that time. So I just went Ryobi, and I just started loading my shop up with Ryobi, miter saw, hand tools or hand power tools. I didn't have a table saw. I think I got an old Craftsman table saw. And I started with dog bowl stands, which I was telling you I need to replace some old ones. Those were the first things that I did. Dog bowl stands that were put together with some wood glue and 18 gauge nails. Like I just shooting them in there, and man, I can tell you right now, they don't look very good. But I was super proud of them. I was super proud of them at the time, but they do not look good now. I tell you that much. They serve their purpose, I guess. And then it just kicked in from there, and I had somebody ask me to make a flag, and I'm like, yeah, I can make a flag, I guess, So when I was at Fort Riley, this is where all this kind of started, was at Fort Riley. I made a lot of flags, and then somebody asked me, hey, can you make a flag on top of a coffee table? So like the top of the coffee table is a flag. And I was like, I don't see why not, So I told the dude, like, I've never done one before, so I'll charge you materials only, and we'll see how it comes out. And if it does good, then maybe I'll start selling them. And it did okay. And I sold a bunch of those with some really wet green lumber, because I had no idea what moisture content, if that made a difference. And I didn't know Lowe's and Home Depot wood was a no-no. And I'd go straight to the store, buy it, come home, and immediately start cutting it. I didn't know any better, it just kind of stemmed from there. That's where I started, kind of just getting a little better as I go along and getting to know people that teach me new things, and a lot of YouTube, man. Jesus, a lot of YouTube. Like I put some hours and days and months into YouTube. I'll tell you, we all have. It's crazy.
I mean, you're learning a new skill like that. You have to find out someplace. YouTube's great for that.
I mean, it is.
Do you guys do the same thing that I do when I order or buy a new tool? Even after I do my research, I go and watch videos on that tool over and over.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
I obsess over it.
Yeah, it's really weird how we get like fixated on something like that. And then when we figure out how to use it, it's just another tool in the shop that we might enjoy it, but it's just another tool in the shop. It's like on to the next thing. You know what I mean? It's the hunt.
There's always going to be the next thing.
I still watch videos about the laser because at the end of the day, a lot of folks in the community, and there was a lot that reach out to me for laser work because, one, I'm not afraid to give settings out. I don't care. Like, there's so much to be made in the community. Like, you're going to find it eventually. So at the end of the day, if you're going to come to me and ask me questions, that's cool. Like, I feel good when I can help people out with that
false
stuff.
Snap. It's all proprietary, and you should know better.
Oh, yes, sir. Sorry, sir. But I mean, I've had people ask me about my glass work because I've dialed in glass work, and I will be the first to say I did not figure that out on my own. I had another maker reach out to me and help me with that. So that's why I've been able to assist people in that realm. Rotary, don't get me wrong, I didn't figure that on my own either, but I definitely had to talk to China for that. That was a 3-hour conversation. I kid you not. I was on the phone with China for 3 hours trying to figure out what they were saying because the English was not very clear. Okay. The language barrier was very, very real. But eventually after all of that, and Josh knows because I've sent him this file, but after my long conversation, I made guidelines or guidance for people to set up their rotary because most of these machines are not set up as plug and play.
And it's in Maker English too. So like, if that says anything,
yeah,
do this, stupid.
So I mean,
do this. Don't do this. I know that this is red and you want to push the red button, but do not push the red button.
Don't push the red button. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I still watch a lot of videos because I like to make sure that I am well versed in that realm. I'm still not perfect. There's still a lot of things I need to learn. The next is a fiber laser that I will be getting.
I knew it. I knew it. You ordered it already?
No, not yet, but I will be getting it the next month.
Hey, use our code.
The demand for what? Duh. The maker community is starting to evolve a lot more. As far as, we got the metal, or we got the acrylics, we got the woods and all this, but people want metal etching, like legitimate metal etching. There's anodized metals out there. That's great. It's awesome on a CO2, but not everything's anodized. Like, there's people that bring you sheet metal shovels and those things that a fiber laser would make quick work of. So I've already started doing my research. So yes, YouTube is life.
And like, you think about how it's evolved. Like, think 20 plus years ago, if you wanted to be a maker, and they didn't really call them that back then, but if you wanted to be some kind of craftsman, you had to you had to find somebody to teach that to you. You know what I mean? Or you had to go find the books, and you had to get down into reading, which is only going to tell you so much. Like, I'm a hands-on kind of guy. I need to feel it out. If I could watch somebody do it, I'm all about it. You know what I mean? But if I had to read a manual to say how to do that, might be a little lost. It might take me a little bit longer, but that's how we had to do it back then. You find someone to teach you, and when they put you under their apprentice program, it's years that this person spends teaching you. Or VHSs, you know what I'm saying? You go in Blockbuster, you renting some stuff, and you watching some movies, Wow.
He brought it back.
Way to take it back to VHSs. Jesus.
Like, if you went to a woodcraft back in the day, they had a stack of VHSs for different, disciplines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they had.
It's funny. Like, YouTube has started so many people off. I know for me personally, that's how I decided to jump into woodworking as deep as I did. I was on a deployment. I was lucky to have another person down there that did woodworking. They introduced me to Instagram. And then I started, on my downtime, I was watching YouTube about woodworking, learning about techniques I never heard of or never even thought of. And some of these makers, and I gained confidence of, like, I could do that. This ain't that hard. I'm gonna try that when I get back. And I drew up my first logo, and I called the wife at one point in time. I'm like, I really want to try this. Even started doing SketchUp, just trying to learn that. That literally, I tried to design a table, and it took me like 2 weeks.
Oh, me too.
I was learning from scratch.
Me too.
I mean, YouTube legitimately got me started and made the decision that I wanted to do a woodworking business.
So we were talking about new tools and YouTube, and this conversation is great. But I think I would be absolutely regret not showing you guys my new Falcon sprayer. Oh yeah.
Okay, so real quick, this is hey Matt, if you're listening to this, bro, I'm sorry, but that's Matt 2.0 right there.
Voltner
in the
2.0.
making.
I'll be growing my beard out soon.
Year and a half?
I got
It's not going to be nearly as majestic, man.
I got the whole system sitting right next to me. This thing is nice, man. I don't know if it fires good or if it's like the performance yet. I'll let you guys know what I think once I do use it. But I want to thank Matt Voltner for pointing me in the direction of the Apollo Falcon sprayer. I did invest in it, so I spent more money than I wanted to. That's what it means when somebody says, "Oh, it's an investment." That means you pretty much blew your wad on it.
Oh yeah. What's your experience with spraying before? What have you used for spraying before?
The Home Right sprayer, the one that I mean, there's nothing wrong with that sprayer, but it's definitely an entry level sprayer.
Yeah.
And then spray cans.
He went from low special to like top of the line in one day.
Yeah, you're gonna love that thing. Like, you're gonna be super impressed by it. I think.
So on that, real quick, now Nick, you and I have talked about this, and I will say this: if you're gonna use that thing, it's gonna be wonderful. Like, it's gonna be a great spray gun. Okay, and I will not dissuade you from ever using it, but I will just caution you: do not carve anything. Don't freaking have any dust in the air, because for all you makers out there, you can have the best spray gun. You could be the best finisher. Nick Dutt is really good with his finish, okay? But if you have dust in the air, it does not matter what kind of
Don't
spray.
get on my parade now. I got a new tool and I showed it to everybody.
I'm gonna shit on your parade. No, but hey, I complimented you. All right. So Nick sprays outside, so he really has no issues with that. But if you're a maker out there and you get an awesome spray gun, do not be discouraged if the finish doesn't come out the way you want it to, because you are doing it inside. Because there's dust particles.
That's right.
In wood shop, yeah.
But you know what, though? I have to say that my favorite thing is finishing inside. So, what? What's so funny? It's nice and warm inside.
Just, you know what you did. You know exactly what you did.
It's warm in there, guys.
but seriously though, if you're a maker and you get an awesome spray gun, you cannot fault the spray gun if you're spraying indoors without a negative pressure chamber of some sort, some kind of booth, because if you don't have that, you will have some kind of flaw in your finish.
I think you can honestly apply that to almost any tool, man. Like, if you don't know enough about your tool, you got to learn a little bit more about it and just practice until you get to perfection.
Yeah, you might go blind, but practice.
That's right.
All right.
Before we wrap it up, I do want to pose a question. AJ's, like 3 episodes ago, gave us a voice question. I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's about spray painting, and this is crafted from NJ.
What's going on, gentlemen? It is AJ over at Crafted in NJ. Just wanted to ask you a quick question about spray paints. Typically used on laser projects or whatnot. But what brand do you guys use? Right now, I'm just using an off-the-shelf primer with an off-the-shelf spray paint itself. I've heard great things about a company called Montana, and I wanted to see if you guys maybe have used it before or could recommend something that lays on nice, looks nice. It doesn't give you a ton of orange peel, because we don't want to be like that. And just want to hear your thoughts on some spray paints. So thanks for answering the question, and I love you guys. I miss you guys. I'll talk to you later.
Love you a long time.
I see what you did there, AJ.
All right. Yeah, I do too. And I'm going to tell you what. All right. If you know, you know, but we know who you're talking about. Anyways. Yeah. So Montana spray paints. So I have used them. I will be dropping a reel/video here shortly on them. I'm going to tell you what. That spray paint is amazing. Okay. It lays on even. It does not orange peel. However, I will tell you, orange peel comes from overspray. So make sure, you have the right distance and all those things. But it goes on nice. It dries in like 15 to 20 minutes. There's really no flaw when I use it. And on top of that, they also send you different nozzles for the spray cans. So it's for different types of stuff.
Question from the audience. The nozzles, the different nozzles. Have you tried them out yet?
Yes,
I haven't gotten there yet.
Easy, Nick. Wait your turn, goddammit.
Have you actually, Nick? No, so I haven't, but it sounds like Nick has. Nick, what do you got on the different nozzles, dude?
So the regular nozzles are fine. I have no problem. I've ordered a bunch of Montana spray paints from the website. They absolutely are super good with customer service. Since I am colorblind, I sent them an image, and they color matched for me as close as possible, right? To me, I can't tell if it's as perfect as it should be.
I need this color gray.
So they sent me black and white and gray spray paint. They said, "Here you
looks
go."
great.
But they color matched for me, and they shipped everything out in a timely manner, and it came to my house in a nice box. They sent me a bunch of stickers and a handwritten note, and I waited a minute to use them because I didn't need them right away, and then I went ahead and used them. I gotta say, they dry really They dry really quick. Quack, quack, Mr. Ducksworth. Yeah. They dry super quick, which it's really nice to have. So like normally I got to spray acrylic, like clear acrylic to make it whatever color I want it and then wait like a half hour. This was like done in 10 minutes. But I did have a fan pointed in its direction, but still nice and smooth, even coat. And I used the large nozzle for that. The large nozzle, so it like pretty much widened the blast. And normally I'm spending a few minutes to spray paint one of these sheets of acrylic because it's like 2 foot by 3 foot. And, regular spray paint has such a tight spray at like, 10 to 12 inches or whatever. But yeah, excellent. I highly recommend Otherwise, I will go with Krylon.
Krylon is what I use, yeah. I haven't tried out the new, I don't want to say fad, but the new fine as far as when it comes to spray paint. But I definitely would like to try it. I don't spray paint all that often. I buy a color and it usually sits up on the shelf until, I got like a purple can up there I used once. So, I mean, like, I'm probably going to give that away here soon. I use a lot of red, most of the, big colors like black, white, red, green, whatever. But yeah, no, I just, don't overspray. You won't get any of the orange peel. Right distance, let it dry, be patient with it. The average spray paint techniques. So nothing special here. What about you, Ed?
No, I don't spray paint at all, really. Most of what I've been doing is a clear coat finish. So I don't do a lot of color stuff yet. So I'll get there eventually. But I don't find a need for it at the moment. In the future, I'm sure I'll get more. But yeah,
I wish they sell like half a can. Because some colors you get because you need to get like a little part or whatever in a piece.
Yeah.
And I really wish you can get like half a can, half the price, half the amount of material. I just personally like having the different colors I have. I'll probably never use a few of these. And it seems like more of a waste to have it. So.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that answers your question, AJ.
Finally. That's one way to tag them along to get them to listen. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, guys.
All right. So this episode of the Sawdust Nation podcast has been brought to you by PWN CNC. Check them out for all the aftermarket CNC goodies, such as new spindle kits, dust boots, etc., etc. So for 10% off your order at PWN CNC, go ahead and use promo code SawdustNation981. And that's off everything on the website. So thanks, PWN. And next up, Total Boat. Thanks for your continued support. If you would like a 10% off promo code for Total Boat, go ahead and slide into the Sawdust Nation podcast DMs on the Instagram, and we will get you hooked up. And last, I want to thank our affiliates, OhmTech. Thank you for being partnered up with us, as you guys are awesome. And Makerstock.com. Makerstock.com has all the acrylics, all the veneers. Check them out. For 10% off your initial purchase at Makerstock.com, use promo code SAWDUST10.
If you would like to get a hold of us, you can always get a hold of us on Instagram. We have multiple different ways that you can do that from. But first of all, if you're not following Mancini Woodworking, go ahead, follow him, follow his journey. He's doing amazing work. He's doing an incredible challenge. I don't know if I could do that every day for that many hours, but man, it's really pulling people together, and we're all about community. So good on you. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. It seems like a lot of good things so far. So follow him, check out his challenge, and see the work he's doing. And for the Sawdust Nation podcast crew, you can always get a hold of us on Sawdust Nation podcast on Instagram. You never know who you're going to get, but that's half the fun. And then you have the individual accounts, Nick from MPG Creations, Nat from Nap's Nutty Works LLC, and myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. But that's not all. You can go ahead and email us like AJ did, just send in a voice clip and make it on the podcast so we could talk about what you want to talk about as far as topic ideas or questions. And that is sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. Now, the final way I suggest you can, be more inclusive with the podcast is become a Patreon. Patreons get to join us each recording, and they're live. So they can give us feedback. They can go ahead and give us topic ideas. They can even give us, questions right on the fly. They can laugh. They can cry. They can say that we're stupid for some of the stuff we did in the shop, because we have a lot of experienced Patreons, and we thank them for joining us on our journey. So check that out. And if you haven't, it's easy to find. It's in our bio. And then with that, let's do our final words. Ed, would you like to say a couple of things before we sign off here?
Yeah. So I just want to say, for anybody that's out there that's kind of struggling with their decision to get in the shop for the day and having the day where you're too tired, or maybe there's something going on in your life that keeps you from getting in that shop, I would say just little things, one day at a time, little things. Even if you get in your shop and you just do a little bit of cleaning and then you step out, those little things are going to matter and keep you present in that shop always. So, just like Nap said, let's be good to each other. Let's share our ideas and our thoughts with each other, and let's build each other up.
Yeah, amazing words, man. Thank you. Nap.
Keep taking care of each other, folks, because the only way this community gets stronger is if we keep informing each other and not being frauds about it and making everything proprietary. Because, hey, guess what? Everything's not about business. Sometimes it's just about helping someone out. But, yeah, that's all I got. Keep taking care of each other, folks. Hey, Nick.
And Nick, yeah. All right, guys. Like always, take care of yourselves and each other. Josh.
Thank you for listening to the 114th podcast episode of Sawdust Nation. Thank you, Ed, for joining us last minute. We definitely appreciate it. You kind of saved us in a pinch. Thank you. It was nice to get to know you a little bit more, learn about your challenge and what's going on in your shop.
Appreciate
so
it.
For those of you that are streaming us right now, hopefully you're listening on your way to work, making toast with coffee, making eggs with coffee. That's what I do. I love it. Yeah, Nat knows where it's at. And then, in the gym, in the workshop, wherever you're listening, thank you for letting us whisper in your ear. We highly appreciate it. And we hope you listen to another episode of the Sawdust Nation podcast here soon. We're going to be signing off and go make some sawdust. Sawdust Nation out.
Out?
Oot. I'm half Canadian.
And remember, if it looks like and it smells like, it's probably